John McDonough is a singer-songwriter from Austin, Texas, who's with us here just now. How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Now, your song that you've got out at the moment is called Planes Fly Too Low. So can you just tell us a little bit about that song and what the basic idea of it is?
Sure. Well, actually, this is it's a song that came about in a unique and interesting way for me, because basically it came from dreams. Literally, I was having a bunch of crazy dreams and I wrote them down, and I found a theme in them, and there was a bunch of cool imagery in the dreams, and I found a consistent theme, and so I put it together into this story. And that's how the song came about. And like I said, normally I write about very specific things. It doesn't work like that for me. So this was a unique experience. But overall, I think the song ended up being about, just being yourself and being who you truly are.
Mm. And the idea of planes flying too low, is that a bit of a metaphor then?
It is. And it's from another imagery from the song, from my dreams, but it is, it's about it's about if you're not, it's a metaphor for the dangers of not being yourself, trying to risk and to be something you're not, so that's sort of where it came from. How do you like the song?
Yes, I like it. It's very much a nice, pleasant listen. Unlike a lot of the guests I sometimes have on the show, I enjoyed this song.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah. And how would you describe that kind of genre that it has? Is it kind of acoustic pop? I'm not really sure where that kind of falls.
God, I'm the same way as you. I always call myself, and this song too, I always say at heart, I'm a singer-songwriter, but I'd also say, it could be acoustic pop. It could also be like folk rock, because it's a little bit more peppy, I would say, than just sort of typical, sort of mellow singer-songwriter type stuff. So I sort of like folk rock because that sort of gives a good impression that it's got a little more oomph to it,
Yes. And how long did the song take you to write then, from start to finish?
Boy, let me think. Not too long, actually. I sort of came up with the chorus. I was just fiddling around with the guitar and sort of singing through some things, and the chorus, "The planes fly too low," that just sort of came out of nowhere, and so I was like, "Ooh, I like this," and so then I started adding to it, and then so I would say the initial song came about pretty quickly, but I did spend a fair amount of time tweaking it. To the bridge is one of my favorite sections of the song, and it took a little work to get it just how I wanted it.
Yeah, and I suppose because it's mainly an acoustic song, is it sort of easier to produce because there's less stuff it's going to strip down?
That's such a good question, because it can go either way.
Yeah.
Sometimes an acoustic song, it is easier because there's just less to worry about.
Yeah.
But then sometimes, when there's not a lot going on and you want to add some stuff to it, but you want to keep it stripped down, it can be really hard to figure out what to add and what's appropriate. And so it can go either way. This, I'm proud because this new CD I just came out with, Second Chances, which is an acoustic CD. All the songs came together pretty easily, and that told me that the songs were good. Yeah. Normally, if a song is good, the parts will sort of fall into place easily.
Yeah.
And when a song has problems, and when you're really fighting to try to make a song work in the studio, to me, that's always a big red flag. Like, okay, something's wrong with the song. And so in this case, the parts all came together pretty quickly and easily. So yeah, in this case, I would say being stripped down made it a little bit easier.
Yeah. And this pandemic we're in at the moment, have you had to kind of record it and produce it from your own house? So perhaps the acousticness has also made that a bit easier.
Luckily, So this pandemic, for everyone, it's caused a lot of big changes. And so I was living in Austin, Texas for 25 years. And I actually, about 9 months ago, moved to the Chicago area. And that's where my family lives. And I've had a longtime friend and producer in Austin who has his own recording studio where I've recorded my last several CDs. Yeah. And luckily, I was able to get into the studio with him and make this CD right before I moved. Yeah. So no, I didn't have to do it at home. I did it like in his studio, like I would any other CD. Yeah. I just was very strict with him when I went in there because he's fantastic, and of course, we both know many musicians in Austin who are fantastic. Yeah. And so it's easy to sort of be like, oh, let's try this, let's try that. But I went in, I was very strict. I was like, we're only going to have 2 acoustic guitars, 2 vocals, and a string section. And that's it, So we had very specific guidelines, and so that helped to make it go a little bit easier also.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say CD. Does that mean that you like to keep your music released in a physical format, whereas some people seem to only do it online and Spotify these days?
Yes, I'm a bit older, and so I still hold on to that, I like the physical hard copy. I enjoy creating the artwork. I have a person that does it, but I, get involved with it. Yeah. I enjoy having something physical to give to people like family or close friends or good fans. I understand most people at this point just listen to it online or download it. But like when it comes to, I still like to be able to give hard copies to people. Yeah. And also, I still believe in I like to create a body of work that sort of, works on its own. I understand people are releasing just a song here and a song there, but I don't know. For me, I still enjoy having like a CD that is coherent. And if you record a CD together all at, one stretch, and it has a certain theme to it and use certain musicians, it will have a certain sound. And, I like that. And if you do just a song after song after song, everything, it's not as cohesive as a CD, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I suppose it's just like books. People want to have a physical copy, and that way they can say that they own it as well. It's great to be able to say you own an album that you like rather than just having it in the same way that everyone else does online.
Exactly. And I just played a gig last night, and there were some people that they were like, they were like, I don't even have a CD player anymore, which is true for a lot of people. But then there are some people that they wanted to buy and they wanted me to autograph it. So, it's so that's part of it too, to be able to autograph it and make it a little bit more personal for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose vinyl's coming back in a way, so people seem to be still appreciating these old school physical things.
Yes, and vinyl is very nostalgic, and it is coming back in a big way. I have not done that yet, but I've wanted to. But I felt like most of my fan base I don't think would buy vinyl. It's more of a younger fan base, and so I feel like I would create like 2,000 vinyl albums, and then they'd be sitting in my closet for the next 20 years, So, so I haven't done that yet, but I would love to, because of course, when I was a kid, I bought vinyl, and it's very nostalgic for me too.
It's interesting that it's a younger fan base that pick the vinyl, because then they would have never grown up with it. So it's weird that they want it now. It means that it's not a nostalgic thing, I guess.
I agree 100%. It is very strange. It's sort of like it's the hipsters. I don't know if you have hipsters in England. Oh yeah. But we have hipsters here, and they're the ones who are the main vinyl buyers. And it is interesting that they are I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you first get interested in making music originally then?
I always loved to sing. Even as a kid, I always joke, I don't know how my parents put up with me, because I would I would crank my stereo as loud as it would go, and I would sing along as loud as I could sing. And I just always loved to sing. And music always just moved me, even as a really young kid. And then when I was about 12 or 13, I started taking guitar lessons so I could actually accompany myself and not just have to sing along to the stereo. And so that's how it started. And I was a big tennis player in high school and college. So it took me a while to get to fully commit to music. But in college, I realized I was never going to reach my goals of being a professional tennis player. And so that's when I stopped playing tennis and I started putting all my effort into music.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you been watching Wimbledon? How big is that in the US?
It's big, and I was watching it. I did not watch, I did not watch all of it, but I did watch it. And I try to watch, I like watching the historic matches, when players are about to tie a record or break a record. And so I definitely watched the final yesterday.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that was exciting.
It was exciting. And I like Novak Djokovic, so I was happy he won. I'm happy to see him doing so well. I like Federer and Nadal too. So it's an incredible time for tennis. Who would have thought, right?
Yeah.
Did you are you close to Wimbledon? Were you able to go at all?
No, I haven't been this year. I went a few years, well, probably 6 years ago now. And it's kind of exciting just to be there, I suppose. It's one of these places that you see it on the telly and then you're actually there and it's like, whoa, I'm in the telly.
Yes. I was in London, about 8 years ago, and it was I think it was in November, maybe October, but I went to Wimbledon and did a tour. Obviously the tournament was not going on, but I got to go see the grounds, which was so fantastic. So I can only imagine the excitement when the tournament's actually going on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's weird because super famous tennis players are just kind of walking around as well.
Right. Just, exactly. Yeah. It's such a beautiful sight, and there's so much history. It's hard not to get caught up in it when you're there, even if you're not a tennis fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, where are we able to check out all the music that you have released so far, if we're able to have a little listen?
Yes. So this is what I've done to make it easy on people, because my name is John McDonough, and I realize that's a bit of a handful and hard to spell. But I started a Twitter account, and it's simply John M Live. So JOHN M Live. And if you go there, the very first tweet is a pinned tweet, and it's got links to my website, links to YouTube, Facebook, all my stuff. And so that makes it easy. So if you just go to John M Live, you can then go wherever you want and go to, like I said, you can go to my YouTube channel, Facebook, and you can listen to all my music that way.
Yeah.
Or my website. Yeah. And I'm on Spotify, and I'm on Apple Music and all that good stuff too. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been great having you here.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a pleasure.